Most people look at the high-end market and think it's pretty straightforward, right? A company makes a car, you save up your money, you buy the car. Boom, done. But as we're going to see, the reality completely changes how you look at the cars driving around out there. We are breaking down the 7 very distinct levels of this luxury hierarchy. We'll go from the models literally anyone can walk in and buy, all the way up to these invisible top tiers where cars are handed out like invitations to an incredibly secret, exclusive club.
Okay, let's dive into this. Picture this scenario for a second. 2 people pull up to a red light, right, side by side, in what looks like the exact same brand of car. Same badge, same little crest on the hood. But here is the stark, fascinating reality. These 2 drivers are existing in completely different universes. The driver on the left, they paid about $63,000. They're essentially driving a very expensive badge to drop their kids off at school. But the driver on the right, they paid over $2 million for a hypercar that can literally outrun a Formula One pit lane. It's a vehicle that actually appreciates in value faster than most people's retirement funds. So, how does the exact same company cater to both of these people? Well, it all comes down to the levels.
Let's start with the visible part of the iceberg, the retail tiers, levels 1 to 3. All right, level 1, the entry point. Think of this realm as the cars that are still just normal products. The traditional rules of commerce completely apply here. We're talking about the Porsche Macan or the Ferrari Roma. Now, this level is absolutely crucial for these brands, but honestly, it's a massive profit trap for the uninitiated. Take the Macan. It starts around 63 grand, but the reality is it shares its foundational bones with a standard Audi Q5. Sure, Porsche adds some better materials, they retune the suspension, and crucially, they stamp that iconic crest right on the hood. It's a great vehicle, don't get me wrong, but it's the slowest entry point the brand offers. Buying a level 1 car brand new is often just the most expensive way to look like you understand cars before you actually do. Because of that massive initial depreciation, the smart move is almost always to buy level 1 used, right after the first owner has taken that huge financial hit.
And this brilliantly illustrates level 2, what we call the profit engine. Look at these 2023 Lamborghini deliveries. 60% of all vehicles they delivered were the Urus SUV. 60%. Now, level 2 cars, like the Urus or the Porsche Cayenne, are super controversial. Purists are constantly complaining that these SUVs kill the brand's heritage. But you know what? The reality is the exact opposite. Every elite Porsche 911 GT3, every single Ferrari racing program over the last 20 years was directly funded by the people buying these SUVs. Without these profit engines padding the bottom line, the brands literally wouldn't have the capital to engineer anything else. At this level, the engineering actually starts to justify that hefty price tag.
Moving on up, level 3 is where we enter the true world of the mid-engine sports car. This is the absolute sweet spot of the retail market. We're talking about cars like the Ferrari 296 or the new Lamborghini Temerario. Here, the driving experience fully justifies the massive price tag, and remarkably, you can still buy these through standard channels. But the tech is shifting fast. The old-school V8 soundtrack is being replaced by V6 engines paired with electric motors, and initially buyers absolutely hated this idea. But then, they drive them. They quickly realize that the new hybrid V6 actually out-accelerates the V8 it replaced. At level 3, you're buying a tangible, clean upgrade in performance, even if it means sacrificing just a little bit of that traditional roaring engine sound.
Now we reach a really fascinating transition point. Level 4, monetizing the end of an era. At this level, the whole motivation for buying fundamentally shifts. You aren't just buying a car to drive it fast anymore, you're stepping into the world of asset collection. You aren't necessarily paying for raw, cutting-edge performance. In fact, a hybrid from level 3 might actually beat a level 4 car right off the starting line. So what exactly are you paying for? Well, you're paying for the last of the naturally aspirated engines. Take the Ferrari 12-cylindry or the Porsche 718 Cayman GT4 RS. The manufacturers know perfectly well that global emissions regulations are tightening aggressively, so they are effectively selling you a guaranteed collector's item, literally an asset with license plates, while it is still legally possible to manufacture them. These cars are essentially investments disguised as transportation.
But this brings us to a really profound question, and I want you to think about this for a second. We've gone from $60,000 to hundreds of thousands of dollars. But what happens when you have millions to spend, and the brand looks at your money and simply says no? What happens when money just isn't enough? Welcome to the invisible top tiers, levels 5 through 7. Now, what's really interesting here is the paradigm shift. The normal product economy that you and I are familiar with entirely ends right here, because at level 5, the whole game revolves around allocation.
At this tier, which includes engineering marvels like the Ferrari SF90 Stradale or the Lamborghini Revuelto, access becomes incredibly controlled. You can not just walk into a Lamborghini dealership with a duffel bag full of cash and point at a Revuelto. It just doesn't work like that. These cars are allocated. The brand meticulously dictates exactly who gets one, and the first couple years of production are typically completely sold out years before the public even gets to see what the car looks like. And this creates a massive psychological shift. At level 5, you are no longer the customer. That old saying, the customer is always right, completely dead here. You are now a candidate. You're effectively auditioning for the brand. You have to prove your loyalty, showcase this extensive purchase history, and practically convince the manufacturer that you are worthy of the privilege of handing them $500,000. It's wild.
If you manage to survive level 5, you ascend to level 6, the loyalty tier. This is the realm of ultra-limited bespoke production lines. We're talking true unicorns here, like the Ferrari Icona series, the Monza, or the Daytona SP3. The unwritten rules just to glimpse level 6 are absolutely grueling. First of all, you don't ever ask to buy these cars. No way. First, you have to have dutifully purchased multiple level 1 through 4 cars over many, many years. Second, you gotta maintain strict loyalty to a single dealer. Absolutely no shopping around. And third, you just wait. You wait for the phone to ring. These cars aren't sold. They're offered directly to the brand's absolute most committed collectors. If you haven't played their game flawlessly for a decade, that offer simply will not come.
So, what do you actually get for all that extreme loyalty? You get access to absolute monuments of engineering. Take the Lamborghini Sion, a true pinnacle of level 6. It doesn't just use standard hybrid tech. It utilizes supercapacitors instead of traditional batteries, virtually just because they can. The brands poured their wildest, most experimental technological leaps into these cars as a direct physical reward for their best collectors.
Finally, we reach the absolute apex of the pyramid. Level 7, the final level. So, the crucial point here is how the system entirely replaces the product at this altitude. We're talking about legendary hypercars like the Ferrari LaFerrari, the Porsche 918 Spyder, and the Lamborghini Veneno. Look at how drastically the world changes when you compare the bottom of the pyramid to the top right here. In levels 1 through 4, you're a customer buying a car to drive it. It depreciates and you get it through standard channels. But in levels 5 through 7, you're a candidate. The cars aren't driven for transportation. They sit in climate-controlled storage for exclusive events. They appreciate rapidly in value, and you can only get them through highly secretive allocations or direct offers. We are literally looking at two entirely different economies operating under the exact same brand logo.
At level 7, the car itself is almost incidental. Honestly, these hypercars are barely driven. They might make a quick appearance at an exclusive concourse event, but mostly they just exist in pristine garages to appreciate in value. What you're actually receiving at level 7 is physical, undeniable confirmation from the brand that you have conquered the pyramid. You've outspent, outloyaled, and outplayed everyone else. The position is the product.
See, the biggest mistake most people make is thinking that Ferrari, Porsche, and Lamborghini are simply car brands. They aren't. They don't sell products, they sell access. At the highest levels, it's an entire access economy, and the cars are merely the collateral.
And that leaves us with this final perspective-shifting truth. Next time you see a multi-million-dollar hypercar out there, remember this. The car isn't the reward. The allocation is. The very fact that they were allowed to buy it in the first place is the ultimate flex.